Hi, my name is Andy Lee, and this is my honors presentation. So the original plan for my honors contract was for me to attend an organic chemistry lecture before the end of the year and do a short presentation for our class over the subject matter of that lecture. However, because of COVID-19 and how little I understood the lecture that I did attend, the new plan is to go over some information about the coronavirus. Nevertheless, I will briefly tell you things I gleaned from Dr. Popov's lecture. He spoke of synthetic and predictive approach to unsymmetrical biphenyls by iron catalyzed chelated radical anion oxidative coupling. And as you can see from my very sparse notes to the left right there, I didn't get too much information about this oxidative coupling. But there's two things I did pick up, and it's the first thing is it's one thing to know the basics of organic chemistry, and another thing to apply these basics. And the second thing that I picked up is synthetic chemists are always looking for more optimal and efficient ways to create their compounds. So the new plan is I give an online presentation over relevant material, relevant in the sense that these are things that we've covered in previous chapters, as well as relevant to the coronavirus. And in doing so, I'm going to attempt my best impersonation of Dr. Wood, hence the blue dress shirt and purple tie. The subject that I've chosen is hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine, as well as chloroquine, is based off of the chemical structure of quinine. If you remember from the lisinopril lecture, lisinopril was based off of the chemical structure of snake venom, and similarly, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine are based off of quinine's chemical structure. And in the spirit of Dr. Wood, when I was researching quinine, I ran across a fun alcohol fact, and Dr. Wood never hesitates to tell us fun facts about alcohol in class. So I'll do so as well. Quinine actually has a very bitter taste. And if you remember from high school history, this is what British soldiers used to take in India and Africa in order to mitigate the effects as well as treat malaria. Um, so quinine was taken with tonic water and a lot of sweetener most of the time. However, some soldiers also had gin with them, and they would ask their commanding officer if they could just spike their tonic water with this gin. And the commanding officer said yes. So these soldiers took quinine, gin, and tonic, and that's where we get the phrase gin and tonic. Um, there you go. So why did I choose hydroxychloroquine as my subject? And that's because I watched John Oliver, and he mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on his show. And I just want to show you a short clip of that.
Welcome. You heard on TV, still getting advice from watching TV, and not just on talking points, but on medicine. Take hydroxychloroquine. It's a drug commonly used for conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, and it got a huge boost in mid-March as a potential coronavirus treatment from Tucker Carlson's show.
Early evidence suggests that chloroquine, that's a cheap anti-malaria drug, may be effective in treating coronavirus. Gregory Regano is an advisor of the Stanford University School of Medicine, and he joins us tonight.
A well-controlled, peer-reviewed study carried out by the most eminent infectious disease specialist in the world showed a 100% cure rate against coronavirus.
I only know what you're telling me, but I do know it's very unusual for a study of anything to produce results of 100%. I mean, that's remarkable, isn't it, or am I missing something?
Oh, you're very much missing something, Tucker. For starters, that man's role as an advisor to Stanford University was news to Stanford, who've since clarified Gregory Regano is not an advisor with their School of Medicine, and no one at Stanford was involved in the study. As for that 100% cure rate, you should know they obtained that by omitting 3 patients who were transferred to an ICU and 1 patient who died. And it is very easy to have a 100% success rate if you just leave out any result that wasn't a success. Nevertheless, the very next day, Trump publicly mentioned hydroxychloroquine.
So, sorry. So hydroxychloroquine is not the miracle drug that everyone expected it to be, especially the press. but nevertheless, the synthesis of hydroxychloroquine is relevant to the information that we've covered in the chapters that we studied. And I got these figures from a paper that's actually proposing a more efficient synthesis of hydroxychloroquine. And they included the old synthesis methods in order to compare and contrast with theirs. And these are the figures from the old synthesis method. So it begins with the protection of a acetyl group, cyclic acetyl. This is something that we've covered in chapter 20, and this is the figure from our book. It's going to create that hemiacetal right there, and then eventually the cyclic acetyl. And this is going to stop any reductive amination from occurring too early in the process. So this actually allows that nitrogen compound right there to have a substitution at the primary halide position. And it's going to create compound 6. And then if you move down to scheme 2, compound 6 is going to go through reductive amination, but with an oxamine, something that we actually haven't seen before, but the mechanism is very similar. So we typically see reductive amination with sodium borocyanate, with any primary, secondary, tertiary amine. And through this reductive amination, you can attach these nitro groups right like that on a ketone or any double bond O right there. So oxamine is just a nitro group with a hydroxide, essentially. So not much different from what we've seen mechanism-wise. Once that's attached, it's going to undergo hydrogenation, and Klein likes to use iron, hydrochloric acid, and sodium hydroxide for his hydrogenations. However, there's a variety of reagents that can be used for this, and it's going to reduce the nitrogen, and it's going to create that NH2 right there. And then the last part of the synthesis is a C-N coupling. This is something that we haven't covered before, but it's called a Buchwald-Hartwig amination. And it's actually what's going to produce that end result of hydroxychloroquine right there. So have we no hope? If hydroxychloroquine is not working, what can we rely on? Also ventilators, their success rate is around 12%, which is much lower than what a lot of people have expected. So what can we hope for? So I saw this in a Nature article, actually, hope rises for a coronavirus drug, Remdesivir. So hydroxychloroquine might not be doing the job, but Remdesivir might give us a good chance at survival. So the drug called Remdesivir interferes with the replication of some viruses, including SARS-CoV-2. So what we need to know about Remdesivir is it was actually made for the Ebola virus outbreak, and it interferes with the replication process. If you remember from when we talked about Tamiflu earlier in the year, Tamiflu's objective is not to destroy the flu virus inside our body, but merely to stop its replication so that our immune system has enough time to catch up. And Remdesivir's purpose is very similar to that of Tamiflu's in that it ceases the replication of the coronavirus in order for our immune system to take care of it. And if you look at the figure right here, Remdesivir is actually a prodrug. So if you remember from the lectures and from the book, a prodrug is something that our body metabolizes into an active compound that will be able to do the purposes that we associate with Remdesivir. And that compound is called GS441524. I'm just going to call it GS44. And when our body metabolizes Remdesivir, that GS44 is going to interfere with virus polymerases. And they've actually designed this drug so that it doesn't interfere with other polymerases, only the ones that are associated with the virus. And it's going to act similar to an analog of aniline. So, or adenosine, sorry. It's an adenosine analog. And it's going to add itself to the RNA chain And once GS44 is added to the chain ceases production. It stops right there, and it evades proofreading by a viral exoribonuclease, or XON. And right now, remdesivir is the best treatment that we have for COVID-19 before a vaccine is created. So I just wanted to let you guys know about remdesivir. This is my work cited, and I will conclude my presentation over hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck for the final, and thank you, Dr. Wood, for a great year.